Hello my lovelies, and welcome to the fifth and final part of our deck Strength versus Weakness series for our September deck of the month, which is the Soul Cats Tarot that you see right here. This is, of course, our anti-pairs, and this is for Oracle decks, so oracles that will not or cannot easily pair with the Soul Cats Tarot. I've got about 10 decks to show you. There's more than that, but I have very few that are indie decks, so they're going to be mixed in. But let's go ahead and get started. And as you can see, for the first deck that doesn't pair with the Soul Cats Tarot, we have the Tea Leaf Oracle deck. Of course, this has month of the year, the astral houses, and the regular tea leaves. Now, at first I thought the reason why these don't pair is because of the system that the tea leaf has. But that's not it. The reason why these two don't pair, quite literally, is because they have different areas of focus. And because of that, because they focus on different things, you know, they struggle to find enough common ground to make a connection, to make a pairing worth it. Which is really a shame, because this is one of the decks I would have liked to use during readings where the Soul Cats was present. And in order to do that, I need a different deck, or a couple different decks on the table that do work with the tea leaf in order to integrate the tea leaf into the reading without issue. So sad, but true. And of course, just like my previous videos when we've had to do these sections, I am going through fairly quickly, just to make sure that we don't have a super long video. So we're going to keep on moving. Next we have messages from the Mermaids. Okay, this is going to be confusing to you, because if you watched my Perfect Pairs Tarot video, you know the Mermaid Tarot does in fact pair with the Soul Cats. However, the messages from the Mermaid Oracle does not. Now, I've mentioned before, keywords are important when it comes to the Soul Cat Tarot. We have truth, we have turn away, we have letting go, disconcernment, waiting, acceptance. Keywords are not the issue with this deck. Believe it or not, it's the animal energy. Apparently, having a half human, half fish freaks the Soul Cats Tarot out. Keywords are not the issue. And the rest of this deck does not offer enough for the Soul Cats to ignore the animal, the mermaid energy. Which is hilarious, because the Mermaid Tarot, as I said, does pair with the Soul Cats. Yes, they are still mermaids, but the Mermaid Tarot has the same strength, has the same job in my collection as the Soul Cats. So that animal energy is being overlooked because of how both decks operate. They play into the same strengths. So the Soul Cats is willing to ignore the animal energy and pair with the Mermaid Tarot, whereas when it comes to the messages from the Mermaids Oracle, it's no longer ignoring it. Something very weird, but something I noticed, and it's worth mentioning. Alright, and moving right along, another popular mass market deck that a lot of us are going to recognize. This is the Enchanted Map by baron-reid. And of course, this is one that has keywords. Listening, encouragement. Some of these are really good, really obvious. Details. And as you can see, there's ones like this. Ghostlands, Spirit of Place, Deep Freeze, Gentle Gardener, Sacred Pool. Those type of keywords, phrases on the particular cards the Soul Cats doesn't like them. It can't make sense of them. Now, follow the leader. Now, that's a phrase that it can get behind. Unexpected visitor. Wide open. There's some of these that the Soul Cats can understand, can compute in its mind, and it's okay with. But then, like magic prayer, it's uncertain of. So this is what I mean when you have a deck with keywords or key phrases. Those are important to the Soul Cats Tarot. And if it doesn't like enough of it, it won't pair. And if it's, like I said, not detailed enough, if it's too broad, if the keywords suck, or in this case, if enough of them are confusing, it won't pair. That's something I've discovered with Oracle decks in particular, because they tend to have a title and keywords, or just a title. And it can be one of the hang-ups of the Soul Cats Tarot when it comes to using an Oracle deck. Speaking of which, we're going to move right on to the next deck. A lot of you probably recognize this one as well. This is the Earth Magic Oracle by Stephen D. Farmer. Of course, these are Earth-related ones. They do have either a phrase or a word on it. Wake-up call, breach, nurturing, rebirth. And some of these make sense and some of them don't, but that's not the issue with the Soul Cats Tarot. The Soul Cats Tarot doesn't like the Earth Magic simply because they are not detailed enough. They're too broad. So there's too much left to interpretation. I mean, having waterfall effortless, there is a little bit of a deeper layer, but the keywords that are utilized are not specific enough for the Soul Cats to enjoy and be able to utilize the energy of that deck and get you what you need as you're reading. So it just refuses to pair. And sadly, when you look at it from that perspective, I can't exactly blame this deck at all. Because let's face it, a lot of us when we buy Oracle decks, we have certain things that we prefer. Some of us don't like cards that do this, where you see a picture of a volcano and then it just lists volcano. You get an animal deck and it's orangutan and they just say orangutan. There's nothing else. Granted, this tells you what it is, or what they're trying to convey, and then a keyword. A lot of us love keywords, but they have to be keywords that speak to us, that we can connect to. And the Soul Cats Tarot is no different. The keywords are important. Alright, and moving right along. Here's a deck you may not recognize, even though it's a mass market deck. This deck is called Inner Fucking Peace. Yep, you heard me right. Inner Fucking Peace. This is a Peter Popper Press deck. It is actually two-sided. You have a design usually on the back. Like this one says, "Give me Nirvana I can dance to." Like no one's watching, or if they are, give it up. So, yeah, there's double-sided messages. Silence your inner critic. Tell that little douchebag voice to pipe down. Sadly, because this deck is for peace, for stillness, for meditation, for slowing down, these two decks very much have opposites takes. This is about movement and moving forward and creation, and this one's about slowing down and refocusing and lessening your priorities. So because they're opposites, they're not exactly in the same realm, and there's really no need to try and put them together. There's no need for these two decks to try to communicate, really, with each other for that particular reason. I suppose the only cases that you could say that these two decks might try to communicate with each other is if you're checking the energy to see why you're frazzled, and maybe use this deck as a prompt for self-care in a way, to unwind. But there's other decks that could do that better than the Soul Cats. So there's still no reason to even attempt taking it that way, because this is not a self-care deck at all. So to check in with that type of energy, there's better decks that could do that job. But it's interesting for a square deck. If you are not familiar with that one, go ahead and check it out. Our next deck we're going to be talking about is Athena Noctura's Crystal Ball Pocket Oracle. Of course, this is the mass market edition. So this is only a 13 card oracle. Choose a new direction, listen to your intuition, time to go, get more information, yes, no, reconsider, yeah, not the right time. This is a very a narrow, very broad type of divination. So it's stripped down very basics. Yes, no, maybe, unlikely, you know, wrong direction, that type kind of thing. Think of it as a very limited 8-ball, magic 8-ball. And it's because of that that the Soul Cats Tarot won't pair with this deck. It is not detailed enough. It is not broad enough. It is too simple, basically. Too simple. It's not enough for the Soul Cats to work with, so it doesn't. Okay, this one might disappoint a few. Oh, The Sacred Traveler's Oracle by Denise Linn. Now this is a very well-known oracle. And yes, there are sayings and messages on it. You'd think that these two would pair. You'd think that these two would have value together. That you'd be able to utilize this fairly well in readings. And you can't. And the reason why you can't is because the strength and the weaknesses of both decks. And that is a shame, because this is another one that I totally would have been like, oh yeah, it should pair, it should pair. You know, I want to use those two together. And because of the strength and weakness difference, it sadly does not cooperate. And to me, just to me personally, that is disappointing. Alright, and we're going to continue moving right along. We only have a couple decks left. And for those of you not familiar with this one, because it is an indie deck, this is the Personal Power Oracle. This is Deja's deck. One of the pretty decks. As much as this is bright, creative energy, as you can see, it's a affirmation deck. I am passionate. I am a healer. I embrace change. I am a dreamer. I am wild and free. Now, even though this is listed as an oracle deck instead of an affirmation deck, because it's an oracle deck that does have affirmations on it, and it does read more like an affirmation deck, this is the exact reason why the Soul Cats Tarot does not care for this deck. Now, for those of you that watched my Perfect Pairing Oracle video, you saw the Heart Align Affirmation Oracle deck by Kimberly Sam. Now, that was also an affirmation deck, and it does pair with the Soul Cats Tarot. But the reason why it pairs with the Soul Cats Tarot is because it plays into the emotional energy. And that is exactly what the Soul Cats taps into, is the emotional energy side of things. And what you can do with that energy, what you can create from that energy. Whereas the Personal Power Oracle, these are affirmations, but they're so broad and they don't invoke that emotional aspect. So it falls short as an affirmation deck. There's nothing for the Soul Cats Tarot to latch onto, per se. So it does not pair. And because this deck is so huge, I want to make sure that I am still in frame. Might have to zoom out a little bit. There we go. Because now we're going to go into bigger oracle cards. And for those of you that are not familiar with this backing, this is the Secret Languages of Animals by Chip Richards. And as you've probably guessed by now, this is an issue of animal energy. There is all sorts of sea, air, and land animals all in this deck. But because a lot of these are ones that the Soul Cats Tarot is not going to like, it just doesn't bother with this deck. Not at all. And it's still a great deck. You get what it is, and then you do get 3 to 4 keywords on it. Like this one says dolphin, joy, light, flow, compassion. You have a lot of a jumping off point with the keywords in this particular deck. Lotus blue butterfly, transformation, becoming, lightness, beauty. Dugong, also known, well, we call it a manatee, but trust, grace, mystery, humor. Salmon, faith, determination, independence, change. Dragonfly, magic, spontaneity, immediacy, change. See, these are great keywords, but because it's an animal themed deck, no. Just no. Which, once I quickly discovered the Soul Cats Tarot does not care for a lot of animal energy, and in fact it's extremely picky about it. It was no surprise that this particular deck is one that does not pair. And last but definitely not least, we have the female Archangel Oracle. Now, I do believe in one of my other portions of this series for the Soul Cats, I mentioned the fact that angel energy is difficult for the Soul Cats. And that's exactly what the Soul Cats has issue with this deck, is because it has angel energy. And I've got a couple of angel energy decks, and none of them pair except for one. And actually, sorry, two, because the Angels and Ancestors Oracle does. Granted, that is for different reasons, and it's not all angel influence, but that's the only Oracle that I found that has paired. And then the Angel Wisdom Tarot is the only other one that is angel themed tarot that I currently have in my collection that I've discovered pairs. So if you've got an angel themed anything when it comes to the Soul Cats Tarot, you have a high probability that it's not going to pair. It doesn't like angel energy. It just thinks it's strange and doesn't like it. Which is interesting, but I suppose it's not all bad. It's not like it can't connect to any deck, but it's severely limited. Just like with animal energy, the deck has to have a good enough strength for the Soul Cats to ignore certain types of animal energy. Other animal energy it'll pair with just fine. So it's kind of a toss-up between animal energy, angel energy, and as I've definitely illustrated for you, keywords are important. If you have good context, good keywords that are detailed enough, the soul cats will like a deck. However, if it's too broad, the keywords don't make sense, or aren't detailed enough, or just confusing in a way, open-ended, not enough to go off. The Soul Cats Tarot needs a jumping off point, basically, when it comes to keywords. And some decks can fully do that. Others, not so much. So for those of us that use Oracle decks especially, pay attention to what keywords are showing up, because if your keywords suck, you're not going to get the Soul Cats to interact. It just won't. It'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, and then it'll walk away. So quite interesting for a deck, and since this is our last portion for this deck of the month, let me know what you guys think after having gone through all the perfect pairs and all the anti-pairs. Is this deck still worth it to you? Is there anything that surprised you, whether it would pair or wouldn't pair? Do you have more of an idea of how to utilize this deck? Do you have a better way now of what decks to use or to avoid buying, maybe because of what I've shown you? And before I let you guys go, I would like to remind you that my poll for October's deck of the month for my Deck Strength versus Weakness series is up on my community tab. Please go vote. You do have a say in what deck will be covered next month, so take your chance while you got it and cast your vote. And by all means, if you guys find any of the information that I cover for my deck of the month in my Deck versus Weakness series, go ahead and, give me a thumbs up. Go ahead, share the videos anywhere online, as much as that helps the channel grow. If you find it valuable information, I'm sure others would as well. Feel free to share it. And if you guys have found any more decks, tarot or oracle, that do pair or don't pair, please let me know in this video or on the appropriate video for the Soul Cats. That way I can explore more options. I know I don't have the biggest collection, but I don't have the smallest collection either. So I'm always open to try and see what else is out there that may be utilized. So feel free to tell me about your experiences. I'd be excited to know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.